Hi, Ann. Welcome to BizTalk. My great pleasure having you today. How are you? And please let me know about yourself, who you are.
Well, first of all, Max, I'd like to thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to present smartFAB here today. My name is Ann LoCicero, and I am the former CFO at a manufacturing company and currently CEO and co-founder of smartFAB, an Italian startup that accelerates the impact of smart factory management.
Great, thank you. So let's jump straight forward to smartFAB. What is it about?
Okay, well, first of all, smartFAB is an augmented analytics solution. That means that we utilize AI and machine learning to provide insights that are actionable to manufacturers of all sizes. Clearly, we need to be honest. There's nothing glamorous about manufacturing, but it makes the clothes and shoes we use daily and all the other products. And it is a key driver of the European economy. Research by McKinsey & Company suggests that the lack of insights costs European manufacturers roughly 600 billion each year. How is that possible? While manufacturers generate data throughout the production line, they are still utilizing spreadsheets and analyzing data manually. Why? Why? Manufacturing is very different from areas such as finance and marketing. There are lots of it's very complex, and there are lots of moving, unconnected parts, making it an impossible environment for standalone solution. Something different we think is required. The solution is twofold. It's automated analytics and automated data storytelling. Automated analytics uses machine learning and other forms of AI to transform data into insights. Automated data storytelling connects or organizes the number and narratives into understandable stories. The former reduces the time and cost to insights. The latter makes them accessible to shop floor engineers. smartFAB is an off-the-shelf software solution that combines automated analytics and automated data storytelling into a single integrated tool that is specifically designed for manufacturing. It overcomes the integration problem and connects the dots for manufacturers. Our solution is much more than a dashboard. It speaks the same language as shop floor engineers. It helps them understand how a malfunction in machinery affects product quality, and it identifies root cause and prescribes solutions. smartFAB ranks problems based on their impact on production. It is up and running in 3 simple steps. smartFAB reduces the time and cost to insights by 80%. It aims to reduce scrap rates by 30% and increase production efficiency by 30%. So what is our business model? Customers pay a higher level of fees for higher levels of insights. We do not charge our customers by the number of users, and we think that that is a very important point to highlight, because it means that we are accessible to all of the engineers in the line. And in the customers that we have today, more than 50% of shop floor engineers utilize our solution. How do we sell our product? We sell it direct to manufacturers, and we sell it via partnerships with manufacturing systems providers. The first is the growth hack that is going to enable us. The first is fundamental to help us understand customer needs. The latter is the growth hack that is going to enable us to scale commercially. Where are we today? smartFAB has completed 4 POCs with book printing, semiconductor, auto components, and food processing manufacturers. We completed a paid pilot last year and deployed our first solution in a production environment. We now have a signed commercial agreement with our first customer, means that we're generating annual recurring revenue, and have extended that relationship to include a second production line. We are also going to be deploying our solution in a textile manufacturer in November of this year. We have also created several partnerships. We have already signed a partnership agreement with an Italian IoT platform, as well as a global consulting company. And we are working and in advanced negotiations with the second global consulting company and 2 manufacturing software providers. Let me just tell you a bit about our team. I have over 12 years of experience in capital markets and asset management, as well as 5 years of experience in manufacturing. My co-founder, Antonioni Jaw, is our CTO, and he has the technical experience and background with over 10 years of experience in computational modeling and data analytics. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to answering all of your questions, Max.
Thank you, Ann. I mean, after we jump again later on the fundraising slide, but I mean, I've been talking to many funders. It's very easy to talk about data when it comes services. It's quite not that common to talk about data when it comes to manufacturing, and also startup environment is much more, based on soft than hard software. So it's very nice to talk to you today, because so we can talk about industry and manufacturing, which is extremely powerful in Italy. We are still making, processing, manufacturing a lot, and I'm Italian, so I'm very happy, because I do believe that's the real economy we need to keep doing. But,
absolutely.
Let me go. How exactly? Let's talk about a bit more about the technology. How exactly you process data and how you deliver data, and also you talk mainly to engineers, so it's not that you need to speak their language.
Okay, those are very good questions. Let me start by answering the first, and that is, how do we collect and then share and show the data? First of all, manufacturers have many systems which don't speak to one another. They collect data through their manufacturing execution systems, which are the systems that monitor and manage the production. They can collect data through their quality control systems, which then test the products at the end of the line or at various steps along the line. They collect data from sensors on tools, and all of that data is in different silos, and they don't speak to one another. So what we do is we take all of that data and we put it all together to create a digital twin of the factory, okay? And we do that automatically, and we do that through human-in-the-loop technology, which allows us to take information from the shop floor engineers to then create a factory-specific model for each individual factory. We then clean and process all of that data and then add analytics capability onto it. So, for example, anomaly detection, predictive analytics, and then show the results in the form of storytelling. So on a web-based solution that the engineers can look at that shows them the root cause of problems, so meaning which machines and which parameters for the tools were malfunctioning when a product was processed on that tool, and then therefore created a quality issue. So we identify the root cause of quality issues. We tell engineers when and where the problem occurred, and we help them understand how they can fix the problem and how they can keep it from happening again in the future. In terms of speaking the language of shop floor engineers, yes, you're right. Engineers certainly don't need someone to tell them how their machine is working or not working. But what I mean by speaking the same language as shop floor engineers is that dashboards are static devices. So what an engineer needs to do today is he needs to take reams and reams and reams of information and put them together himself to create the story to understand what happened and where the problem was occurring. We make we put that information together so that the engineer saves hours, days, weeks, and sometimes even months to find the root cause of a problem, so that he doesn't have to look at 500 parameters on a tool to figure out which one of them deviated in the moment that a product was processed on that tool.
Understand. Thank you. I mean, which kind of industries are more keen to use your technology?
Oh, another very good question. Clearly, process manufacturers have a very clear issue in terms of understanding how the process affected the quality. So we have great interest from process manufacturers, also process manufacturers. Let's take, for example, a couple like food. They have been utilizing data for a long, long time, and they are very clear. Food processing manufacturers are very clear on how the traditional mechanisms don't help them fully understand and resolve the problems that they have. So we are speaking with data-driven manufacturers, meaning manufacturers that are already utilizing data. They don't have to be big, but they have to have an understanding of the data and the limits to the solutions that they have so far. And we are looking at mainly process manufacturers. So we're talking about manufacturers in semiconductoring and food processing. We're talking about pharmaceuticals, chemical companies. We're also talking to some discrete manufacturers that have a very high quality control issue. So we're talking about, like, let's first say auto components.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. Let's jump and talk a little bit about the business model. How does it work? I mean, how do you monetize your platform? If we can talk about platform, it's more about, okay, actually, before going to how to monetize your platform, it's your service based on SaaS, or how do you perform? Do you change any time for any client, or they can have a basic, let's say, platform and making some upgrade on it? Because many times, setup cost is quite expensive.
Right. So we are a SaaS solution, and our service is available on cloud and on premise if necessary. But what we found so far is that, fortunately or unfortunately, thanks to COVID, many manufacturers that were hesitant to move to the cloud are now making that transition happen a lot more quickly. So we really haven't had any requests to provide services on premises recently. So our solution is cloud-based. It is a SaaS solution, meaning that all of the modules and all of the functionality is shared on each customer environment. The data is segregated, and each customer's solution is segregated so that no one else has access to the information that's specific to them. No one else can see their data. No one else can see their results. But what happens is that each factory is different, and each factory has different requirements. For example, a detergent manufacturer that processes everything in a batch is going to be very different than a manufacturer that produces individual components or parts. So the solution calls those functions that are necessary to match or replicate that manufacturer's environment. So it's an all-in-one solution that calls based on the information and the identification of the type of manufacturing process that the customer has. The business model is paid subscription, meaning that the customers pay an annual recurring fee. That fee is based on the complexity of the business, and the proxy for complexity is the number of, let's say, process steps in the manufacturing environment, as well as the number of lines or loops that they have. So a semiconductor manufacturer that has 40 or 50 different loops in production, each time they deploy our solution and they extend it to an additional loop, they pay an additional fee. Each one of those loops or individual lines has something like 50 or 20 process steps and 50 tools. So if we were talking about a discrete manufacturing line, it might be a line that for an automotive company that produces doors versus the component of the line that does painting. Those would be two different steps that we would apply it to, and they would pay two different fees.
Okay. Do you provide any on-site service? If I need, for example, if any manufacturer needs you to go on the site, do you do that?
So if you're suggesting that we provide consultancy services, we are trying not to provide many consultancy services at the moment. So we are trying not to make our solution custom for each manufacturer. That said, we do work with their IT departments at the beginning to ensure that they are sending us the data in the correct format. We do work with their engineers to test and monitor the human in the loop process in terms of establishing that factory specific model. And then we do provide a lot of support to our users once they start utilizing the solution to make sure they're understanding, because it's very important to us that one, the customer gets value from the solution, that it's easy to use, and that it doesn't take a lot of time to information. So we're constantly monitoring that process to make sure they're doing it right.
Okay. I mean, that's more related to you. How do you move from management, which means you'll be working in capital market, to manufacturing?
Well, I started out my career at Texas Instruments, and then I moved to finance from background, and then I moved back to manufacturing as a CFO. So I started out in a more engineering environment and then moved to finance and then moved back to manufacturing, looking at it from a management perspective. And really, it was back to manufacturing that led to as a CFO manufacturing company, I spent a lot of my time trying to understand how we could improve the bottom line of the company. And clearly, the biggest impact on the bottom line of a manufacturing company is the product that sits on the manufacturing floor and the processes that go on in manufacturing. And so, while we might want to cut costs across the board and cut things like cell phones, it's really going to have very little impact, right, overall. So it was always a struggle to try and find out how we could go beyond things like Lean and Six Sigma, which are very visible tools and require you to see what's happening and look beyond that and find out what the data could bring to us and how it could help us improve our performance. And that's what led me to smartFAB.
I mean, you are predicting and problem solving, okay, and processing data. Do you have an idea how much a manufacturing company can save in terms of, for example, setting up cost or even to revenue?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So in terms of impact on revenue, the first customer, semiconductor manufacturer, we've identified quality issues that they are now fixing that had an impact of roughly 4% of their total revenue. Now, that might seem like a small number, but we have to remember that they have 40 different loops and we started with one. So within one loop alone, one section of the manufacturing line, we were able to identify problems that were worth 4% of their total revenue.
Okay, I mean, manufacturing, for many, probably they're not that well inside, but it's a very complex structured business. I've been lucky enough to do Polytechnico, and because I really wanted to understand industry more than finance, because I was coming from finance, so finance was pretty easy to me. But manufacturing is extremely complex because there are too many factors together with supply chain, and all the value chain is extremely complicated. So what exactly, in taking into account all the value chain of the company, where exactly your service, gets the most?
Okay, so we don't look at anything that happens outside of the factory floor. We only look at how the product is produced. So helping the customer ensure that the production processes are working efficiently. So we don't look at the supply chain. We don't look at their warehouse. We don't look at their shipping or anything like that. What we do is help them find inefficiencies within the production line that will enable them to ship more good product at the end of the process, and enable them to do it at a lower cost and have greater uptime for their tools.
Thank you. I mean, that's very, very, very beneficial for any manufacturing company, especially when it comes to quality. Regarding your fundraising, you are under fundraising now, yeah?
We are definitely fundraising at the moment. Let me go back to that slide, which I apologize for having skipped before. We've raised 328K to date. We plan to close the seed round in the first quarter of 2021. And up 1.5 million, we have received commitments for 350K. So we've started to get commitments for that round and expect to, like I said, to close it by March of next year.
Okay. Well, where do you see smartFAB in a couple of years? And do you have any exit plan for your investors?
Oh, sure. Great. Other good questions. We will have 3 paying customers by the end of this year, of which 1 we will have actually upsold to. So we will have extended beyond the initial sale with them. We had planned to have more than 8 customers next year, and by the end of 2022, we will have achieved more than 1 million in annual recurring revenue. So what is our plan for an exit? Well, clearly everybody would love to have an exit that is going to be an IPO. But we have to be realistic about what the possibilities might be. I think that there are going to be opportunities for us to have exits before then. Clearly, we're creating a software solution that fits within the product realm of many other types of providers. We could be a software solution for a consulting company that wants to expand their reach and sell down to smaller manufacturers and provide a off-the-shelf or quasi-off-the-shelf solution to them. We could be an additional solution for a very large manufacturing software company that is looking to add advanced analytics as a component into their already burgeoning software offering. So I would expect that we would have opportunities along the line to do that. If we are able to continue to expand our product base, there might be an opportunity for us to do an IPO at some later date if we decide that that is the route that we want to go down.
Do you think your technology can be adopted in different environment that is manufacturing in the future?
Absolutely. We've tested our solution. We started out first with the semiconductor manufacturer because it's the most complex. And if we can make our solution work in the most complex environment, we can make it work in in environments that are less complex. The opposite would be impossible. So our first POC was with a semiconductor manufacturer. We've done POCs in auto components, book printing, and in food processing. Like I said, we will be deploying our solution in a textile manufacturer going forward. We are, again, talking to the auto components manufacturer, which unfortunately was put on hold last year due to COVID. And so we will be starting up that relationship with them again in the last part of the year. So very different types of manufacturing environments, very different issues, one single solution.
Thank you. Let me close with why investors should invest in smartFAB.
A couple of reasons. First of all, is the overall macro environment. Manufacturing is fundamental to the European economy. And without a strong manufacturing sector, we're hollowing out the middle class, and we're creating huge problems in terms of social equity within Europe. So if you buy into the manufacturing story and the importance of manufacturing, then it's important then to look at, okay, how can we get the biggest bang from our buck? What are those opportunities that are going to help us make this environment work well, and why is manufacturing ready for a solution right now? As I was suggesting before, there are other solutions out there. In the past, there's Six Sigma and Lean, which are very visual types of approaches. What manufacturers need to do today to remain competitive is dig into their data, understand what's happening, and eke out those many costs that are occurring. And the only way to do that is through advanced solutions that go beyond the tools that the engineers have available to them today, because they spend days, weeks, months, oftentimes looking for those problems, and oftentimes don't find them at all.
Sure, I agree. I mean, I agree. Manufacturing is extremely strategic for any country, so we should defend as much as we can. That's for sure. I mean, technology helps a lot, so we should get back something that we've been giving too much outside from Europe, but not only. So I do agree with you, and hope smartFAB can do a good job for the European manufacturing as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure having you today with me, and hope you fundraise soon, and maybe you with me next time.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Big around.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.